morning. Hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. We are jumping in here on a Monday morning. Look, today's video is for those of you who have lost your job or you're scared of losing your job. And you've heard me tell my story before that if you have lost your job or you're scared of losing your job, it's a scary time. It can be a lot of uncertainty, can be a lot of panic. You can feel like the world is literally crashing down around you. So, this morning, I want to get super tactical about how you can kind of find your way through this moment, how you can kind of find the light at the end of the tunnel and give you some actual tactical tips to dig in. Now, I know we covered layoffs are happening a couple of weeks ago. I'll link to that video again because the two kind of go hand in hand. But as we get super tactical this morning, I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to grab a pen and paper or your iPad or phone or whatever you want to take notes with. So while you're doing that, let me address one question that came in, and then you'll have your pen and paper. Okay. So comment/question I got after last week's video was some of you like the live trainings, the comments, the interaction. Some of you don't. So here's your solution. You see on the screen right now. Heck, I don't know. Anyway, it's on the screen right now. I don't know where I'm pointing. If you want the live training, you want the full live training, it's on the YouTube channel. Jump over there. It will say #live. For those of you who've told me, I just want the information, don't want the interaction or the comments at the end, like just give me your training, jump over to the YouTube channel. That one will say #recap. Okay, so if you like the lives and you want the full training, jump over to YouTube. It'll say #live. If you just want the information, boom, you're in, out, you get your tips. Then jump over there and click on the video that says #recap. Okay, so that's the link on the screen. Just type that into your browser. You'll be good. All right. I think I bought you a couple of seconds there by answering that question. So let's pull up our chair and let's dive in this morning. So I actually want to do something a little different today. Let me grab my iPad because we're writing on the screen again with my atrocious handwriting. I want you guys, I'm going to tell sort of two stories, two examples. They're going to lead us into this morning's tips. And I have 3 tips to offer. And I want you to keep watching because I want to talk about also how to monetize your income, your skills, and get beyond one income stream as part of these tips. So, first illustration, back in January, someone I've had a casual acquaintance with, I saw on their, because of a board I serve on, I saw on their LinkedIn that they had lost their job. As usual, I reached out and said, "Hey, sorry you lost your job. If I can do anything to help, let me know." The person wrote back and we got into a LinkedIn conversation. I said, "Yeah, let's jump on the phone. I think I can help you." That person had lost their job. They were the only one who lost their job. So you can imagine their confidence was shaken. They were asking questions about why me? What did I do wrong? Why am I the only one who lost my job yesterday? What is it about me that I lost that job, and how's that going to impact me going forward? Like, they were in a pretty deep, dark place. Confidence was shaken, uncertainty, panic, all the emotions we've already talked about had set in. And so I said to that person, you got to deal with those emotions before you can move forward. You got to deal with the hurt, the disappointment, the anger, the frustration, the why me, the what did I do wrong kind of feelings. Because if you don't, you're carrying that baggage forward into the next job. So that is tip number 1 this morning that we're gonna jump into. I know, handwriting. All right, tip number 1 is the emotion. I know I misspelled that. Tip number 1 are the emotions. You have to deal with the emotions of losing your job. Or if you're scared of losing your job, listen, that fear can make you paralyzed. It can absolutely be paralyzing. So you've got to deal with the fear and you've got to deal with the emotions of the why me. I had to deal with the same thing. I did not bounce back as quickly as this person did. I'm going to tell you how they did. It took me a few months to really kind of ground myself in What just happened to me? No, I didn't have a plan. No, I wasn't expecting it. So what do I do now? So tip number one, you have to deal with the emotions of that moment. As I said in the layoff video, it's going to happen. So you've got to figure it out. Tip number two. Tip number two is you need a plan. Now, what I just said to you about that person was in January. We did a few phone calls. We worked through the emotions. We had to do the hard work of forget about that job. It's over. It's behind you. What's next for you has to deal with you and you alone. And you guys know I'm very big about that value proposition question. You, your personal brand, let's strip away the bad, toxic work environment you just came out of, and let's talk about you and how you see yourself and how we can get you past this moment. And we did a few phone calls to get, that person kind of through that. And then you kind of saw the light at the end of the tunnel come through. Yes, getting fired happens. It wasn't them. It was the job. There were a lot of circumstances we had to work through. And we, kind of worked through those. And fast forward, that person with that time was kind of contemplating, I don't know what's next. Do I want to get a job? Do I want to start a business? Do I want to go back to school? They were kind of working through all those options, which is why tip number two is you have to have a plan. Now, fast forward to July, literally last month, the person lost their job in January. Fast forward to July, the person not only had a job offer, so they called me about salary negotiations, but the person also decided to take their social service skills, their clinical therapy skills, and start a business and already had 5 clients lined up for their social services clinical therapy business that they were starting on the side, and decided to go back to school and get that master's as well. So January, no plan, had no idea what to do, could not get out of the deep, dark place of what had just happened. July has a job offer, 6 figure job offer, started a business with 5 clients out of the chute, going back to school for master's, all of that in 6 months. That person's plan, listen, that person blew me away. My plan took a lot longer. I lost my job in May of 2018. I didn't figure out why I wanted to start my firm until November 18. And here's why. And here's the key to the plan. I knew I did not want to take any kind of job just to fill a job because I knew I wasn't going to stay long. I was tired of large organizations. I didn't want the politics of another large organization. I decided I had the financial savings. I could wait and decide what was next for me. The story I just gave you, the person that I've been working with, their plan came together in 6 months, and now they have three different options and multiple income streams coming in. And they did all that in 6 months. It took me 6 months just to figure out what I wanted to do. Meanwhile, they made it happen in 6 months. So when you pull out a plan and you start making a plan, you have to know, do you need a job right now because you're panicked and you need the money coming in, and knowing that may not be the job you stay in, but you need something for the moment? Or can you hang on for a couple of months, look for that right next thing? It could be starting a business, it could be another job, but can you hang on for a few months, get your mind, your emotions set, and then find the right next thing for you? The plan is not just jumping into the next job, guys. The plan is what is right for you and what's next for you. For me, I had to wait to build that plan because I was not jumping into another organization. For the person I just told you about, not only did they land a 6-figure job, they're starting their own business and they're getting their master's, which leads me to tip number 3. And this is the biggest lesson I've learned from my experience of getting fired. And this is that person told me this is the biggest lesson they learned as well. Learn how to monetize your skills. In my situation, I started a business in 2018. I didn't learn how to monetize my skills until the end of 2020, beginning of 2021, when I figured out, what do I do every day? I'm a lobbyist in DC. I represent companies before the government. But I used to do a lot of public speaking. I used to do a lot of just kind of on the side consulting. I need to start that up again so that I never find myself in a situation where I only have one income stream again. That was a lesson I learned about monetizing my skills, which is now why I talk to you on coaching videos, podcasts, book, and I'm getting ready to actually launch a third venture here in a couple of weeks. The client I just told you about, that person said, now they have a spouse, so they were okay financially, but nevertheless they said, I've learned a lesson out of this. I'm monetizing my skills so that I'm never left in this situation wondering what's next for me again. So one of the big lessons I want you to learn, if you've lost your job, you can't do this immediately. You need to stabilize yourself and stabilize whatever financial situation you may be in. But like me, once you get stable after a year or two, you need to then pivot to monetizing your skills. This person monetized in 6 months. I'm still blown away by that. It took me a couple of years to figure it out. But the point is, when you lose your job, one of your biggest learnings, I don't care how much savings you have, is if you have one income stream, you'll never make that mistake again, because that's part of the panic and that's part of the fear. And that is part of the, do I take a job right now to fill the void or can I wait? It's a panic and a fear born out of financial stress. You don't know what to do next, and you just may jump into a job because you need to. And that is fine. Go drive Uber, go do Lyft, whatever you need to do. But understand, once you get yourself stabilized, the next step for you is to start learning how to monetize your skills. Now, like I said, the person who did it in 6 months blew me away. Like, it just clicked for them. They understood how to monetize their skills. They made some phone calls in their network. Again, that goes back to the layoff video that we did. They literally made phone calls and said, here's what happened. Here's what I'm looking for. People started sending clients their way immediately. That's how they automatically started their business with 5 clinical clients. So now, school, 6-figure job, business, seeing clients all in 6 months. Me, it took 2 years, and I'm still in the process. Monetizing your skills is a hard lesson to learn when you lose your job, but it is a necessary lesson to learn. So when you deal with the emotions, you get past the hurt and the feelings and the anger and the frustration, get your plan together. Your plan may be short term, long term. Like I said, short term, you may need to jump into something just because you can, or you may be able to wait a few months and find that right next thing for you. But the third piece is the golden piece I can share with you, which is monetizing your skills will future proof your career going forward. Monetizing your skills is going to future proof your finances. And I'm not a financial person, so I'm not going to go down that road. And I purposely don't get into that conversation with people that I coach because that's none of my business. But the lesson of monetizing your skills, like this person just did in 6 months, like I did in 2 years, has taught me, and that person told me, a very valuable lesson about when you get fired, when you find yourself in a state of panic, it is fight or flight. Take your time, stabilize yourself with your plan, and then once you're stabilized, figure out how you never let that happen to you again. I'll never let that happen to me again. Now I have 3 income streams, not just one. So monetizing your skills is going to be very unique to you, but it's absolutely a key lesson that you take away from this situation that you find yourself in. So those are your 3 tips. Deal with the emotions, get your plan together, not just any plan, short term, long term if you need it. And then make sure one of the lessons you learn and put into action is how to monetize your skills going forward so that you future proof your career, you future proof your finances, and you never have to worry about being panicked during this situation again. All right, so those are 3 tips, 2 very different illustrations. The person who January to July, like, just figured it out. Me, took 2 years to figure it out, but finally got back on track. So you have these 3 tips now. You have the layoff video, you have this video. If you've lost your job, if you're facing a layoff, if there's a disruption in your life, financially, professionally, this is this is super tactical this morning. And I get that. Like, literally, you got to figure out what is working for you. And that planning piece is going to be the key piece of it. So get super tactical in your planning, but first get past the emotions, because you can't plan clearly if you're caught up in the anger and frustration of it all. Get super tactical in what's next for you, leveraging that other video I did. I'll link to it below. Also, leveraging this video about working through these 3 tips, and you'll have a plan of action to get you through this moment of disruption, and you'll come out and find light at the end of the tunnel on the other side. See, a lot of comments have come in, so let me just jump into those this morning. Again, if you're still watching, you will have the long version over on the YouTube channel. There it is. You'll have the short version over the YouTube channel because I'm going to trim this down and make sure that if you don't want the long version, you don't have to have it. Let me see if I can move my comments around this morning because I am cutting myself off. All right, there we go. All right, let me adjust my screen here. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for being here. All right, let's jump into these questions and see what everybody, let's see. Chris Rivera says you can't carry the negative emotions into your job search because that will affect your ability to follow through on your job search plan. Chris, I completely agree. And the negative emotions are real. I mean, it wiped me out. For a few weeks after I lost my job, I did nothing but wake up, eat, watch Netflix, and go back to bed because I was mentally and physically exhausted, but also had all the frustration and emotions and feelings on top. So I completely agree with that, Chris. Judy, Travel Designs by Judy. Judy, good morning, says, how do you hang on for several months? Judy, for me, I'm just going to move your comment up, Judy. For me, I had savings and I knew that I had a couple of months of savings to carry me over. Not everybody's in that situation, which is why I said, look, if you got to take a job short term to pay the bills and fill the gap, do that. I will tell you, a couple of weeks ago, I met an Uber driver who actually works for NASA. And I said, why are you driving Uber? And he was like, it's an easy way to make extra cash. There's a lot of different ways to do the carryover for a couple of months. It's up to you, kind of what you're willing to do. I've done it before where I've gone and worked retail for a couple of months to kind of, buy time. So it all depends, Judy, on the person and what you're willing to do. But what I tell people is don't sit there without income coming in. If you don't have the savings, drive Uber, drive Lyft, go. Listen, I'll dig ditches. I don't care. Do whatever you need to do to get yourself past this moment until you can find out what's next for you. So that's going to look a lot very different, Judy, for everybody. For me, it was savings, but the guy I talked to, NASA guy, he was just doing it just to make extra income. He was definitely monetizing his skills. So I think a lot of different people can do it a lot of different ways, Judy. I don't have this is LinkedIn user. This is LinkedIn user. Someone said, can you show the tips again? I absolutely can. If I did not, if I did not lose them, there you go. There are the tips. Deal with your emotions, figure out your plan. Like Judy just said, do you hang on for a few months? Can you hang on financially for a few months to figure out what's next? Or do you need to take that right next thing just to jump in? Totally up to you. I gave you three examples of people who've done it different ways. And then you need to learn how to monetize your skills once you're stabilized. Now, don't try to, let me give a word of caution because Judy brings up a good point. And so does Chris. Don't try to diversify and start 5 businesses right now or 2 or 3 businesses. Stabilize yourself. That's what the plan is all about. Even if it's a short-term stabilization, get somewhere, make some money, make sure you're financially okay. Stabilize is the first part of the plan, and then you move to monetize your skills. People who try to jump in and diversify, if you're broke, don't start a business. Now, there's a lot of opportunity right now to do that. I wish Chris Prouty was here this morning. He would jump in and tell you about that. But your plan needs to be stabilization, whether short-term finding something while you figure out long-term what's going on, or hang on for a couple of months like I did because I had the savings to do so until that right next thing came along, which for me was starting a business, not going into another organization. The person I just told you about, the client, they actually went into another organization and started a business and are going back to school. So that plan is going to look different for every single one of you. But the key is to have that plan, and then once you're stabilized, to monetize your skills, because the panic you're feeling may be financial. When you monetize your skills, like I said, you future proof You future proof this ever happening to you again. Landon, good morning. I see Landon is here, and Landon is reminding us, hey, if you're on LinkedIn, don't forget to connect with me. Connection request or follow request. And if you're over on YouTube, smash that like button and subscribe. So, for the person who said, can I show the tips again? Hopefully you got those. And let me just make sure you screen capture those. Screen capture those 3 tips. And again, the replays are over on YouTube. You can catch them there. But hopefully, for the person who said that, hopefully that helps. Um, and here's the person who's going to help you with that job search, because that's not me. I do career coaching. The person who's going to help you with your career search is Eileen, and find her on LinkedIn. She's right there. She says you need a strategic plan in place as you attack the job market. You need to set yourself up to succeed, to compete, and rise above to become the candidate of choice. If you look on LinkedIn, Eileen's LinkedIn profile, Eileen, tell me, was it last Wednesday or Thursday you did a video about how to have that strategic plan? So find Eileen on LinkedIn or on YouTube. Find her video from last week, first week of August, about that strategic plan that she's talking about, and she goes a little further than what I'm doing in this video this morning. And actually, Eileen, I just forgot. I'm addressing the same topic, so there you go. That just hit me that you did a video on the same thing when I saw your comment. So thank you for that comment. So while we're here, so Eileen's here. I'm going to do a shout out real quick before I give you the last final words here. Find Judy if you're traveling. Find Chris. Chris does a workshop every Wednesday. Chris, you want to throw your link down there in the chat? Please do. Chris does a workshop every Wednesday. Chris is your mindset guy. Judy is your travel queen. Eileen is the queen of the career. So there you go. Yep, Eileen just dropped it right there. Guys, we're all here to help. So Eileen dropped her calendar link. Tips and optimize your speed. Yep. And Chris, I'm going to stay on this stream until you drop your link down there for the workshop, my friend, or you can drop it after we're done. But here's my point this morning, guys. We're here to help you. For those of you who like the comments coming in and like the discussion, look, there's a lot of valuable information coming in from Chris and Eileen and Judy and Landon and so many others. The idea here, though, is if you find yourself in that situation, you need to work through those steps. If you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off, and look, that's panic, that's fear, that's flight. I get it. I was that person. The person I just told you about, the client that I worked with, was not that person. They figured it out very, very quickly and are thriving in 6 months. It took me a little longer. This is not a cookie cutter, this is going to work for you, which is why I'm saying you got to work through those pieces, and you're going to work through those pieces at those 3 tips at very different points. You're going to be very different from probably even the Uber driver I was just telling you about. But you're going to work through those points, work through your emotions, get your plan, monetize your skills is the most valuable thing I can talk to you about. Listen, if you want to follow up and talk about how to monetize your skills, because that is my topic that I've learned. I've said over and over again, I'll never have one income stream again. I'll never be in a situation financially where I'm worried about where my next dollar will come from because I lost my job. It was one of the most important lessons I learned from losing my job was that will never happen again. So I've monetized my skills to future-proof my finances in my life. You got to do the same thing. You have to, because you don't know when that disruption is going to come, and you don't want to sit here scrambling like maybe you're doing right now. So Chris, I'm gonna let you drop that below, and folks will see it in the comments on the live stream. So if you got that, drop that below. All right, so you've got 3 tips. You need to work through those 3 tips. You can always reach out to me on LinkedIn. You can reach out to me on YouTube. Some of you reach out on Instagram. That's totally cool too. These videos will be on YouTube as soon as I'm done today. Get your plan together, work through your emotions, and figure out how to monetize your skills so that you future-proof yourself from this ever happening again. That's the thought this morning I want to leave you with. I look forward to the conversation afterwards. These videos always generate a ton of conversation. So if you've lost your job, if you're scared of losing your job, You now have the tips you need to succeed. You have the layoff video that I'll link to as well. Get your plan of action in place, guys. Now's the time.